Hello, welcome everybody to the global press conference for Aladdin. Thank you for joining us. I want to introduce a man who has been a part of the entire fabric of Aladdin since the beginning. He has 7 Golden Globes, 11 Grammys, 1 Tony, and 8 Academy Awards. Yes, please help me in welcoming composer Alan Menken.
I'm going to take you on a little trip through some Aladdin songs and some of my other songs. I think you probably know some of these songs. Oh, imagine a land, it's a faraway place where the caravan camels roam, where you wander among every culture and tongue. It's chaotic, but hey, it's home. When the wind's from the east and the sun's from the west and the sand and the glass is right, come on down, stop on by, hop a carpet and fly to another Arabian night. Wah! Oh my! Wah! Oh no! Mm-hmm. Well, Alibaba had them 40 thieves, Scheherazade had 1,000 tales. Mister, you in luck, 'cause up your sleeve you got a brand of magic never fails. You got some power in your corner, now heavy ammunition in your camp. You got some punch, pizzazz, yahoo, and how say, all you gotta do is rub that lamp. And I'll say, Mr. Aladdin, sir, what will your pleasure be? Let me take your order, jot it down, you ain't never had a friend like me. I can show you the world, shining, shimmering, splendid. Tell me, princess, now when did you last let your heart decide? I can open your eyes, take you wonder by wonder, over, sideways, and under, on a magic carpet ride, a whole new world. A new fantastic point of view. No one to tell us no or where to go. I say we're only dreaming a whole new world. A dazzling place I never knew. But now from way up here, it's crystal clear. Now I'm in a whole new world with you. A whole new world. That's where we'll be, a thrilling chase, a wondrous place for you and me.
We are ready, so please put your hands together for director Guy Ritchie. Up next, we have our Genie, Will Smith, our Aladdin, Mena Massoud. In the role of Jasmine, we have Naomi Scott. As Dahlia, we have Nasim Pedrad. As the Sultan, we have Navid Negahban. Please also welcome production designer Gemma Jackson. And welcoming back to the stage composer Alan Menken. Will, you don't even need a mic, Will.
I know,
he doesn't need a mic.
Thank you for being here,
Yes.
everyone.
One more
So-
time for Alan Menken,
Yes.
8-time Academy Award winner.
Oh,
I
my
love that.
entire childhood
Yes.
flashed before my eyes.
Yes, goodness.
So beautiful. Mena, you stepping into the role of Aladdin, what are you excited for people to see as far as this film?
I'm especially proud of the representation and the ethnically diverse casting that was put together for this. It's not often you can go to a movie theater and see all people of color represented like this. It's certainly something that I was missing in my childhood. So I'm proud of the cast and the casting that Guy and Disney put together. So I'm excited for little boys and girls to go see people that look like them on screen, man. That's what I'm proud of.
Yeah!
Woo! And Naomi, Jasmine was our first Disney princess of color. She also has a new song in Speechless. What was it like doing that scene? And also, how do you feel that song resonates today?
Yeah, oh gosh, where do I start? So, Speechless, written by this guy over here, Alan Menken, Pasek and Paul. Yes,
Ben
go on.
Pasek and Justin Paul.
Yes, who, you know, La La Land, Greatest Showman, you know.
Evan Hansen.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
Incredible writers. So, you know, the fact that they wrote a song and I get to sing it, first of all, I was like, wow, that's already surreal. But also then when I heard it and just the words and the lyrics and how timely it was, you know, the message behind the song and the idea of not going speechless, that everyone has a voice, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter what your gender, your voice matters. And speaking out against injustice matters, you know, not just standing by and being a spectator. But it was really emotional because, you know, I wanted it to feel raw in the, you know, and I wanted it to feel like it's what she's going through in that moment. And we did some of it live as well, which was a different type of challenge. And yeah, you know, it's out there. The song is, for me, it's like, it's the world's song. It's like, whatever it will be, it will be. And whatever people take from it, they will take. I'm just obviously very blessed to be the person to kind of embody it in the movie.
Navid, I had a question for you because growing up watching Disney films, so many of them have a father-daughter dynamic element to them. What was important about this Sultan's story arc with his daughter?
I believe the most important thing was for him to show how much he appreciates her. I mean, I think every father, no matter what, they see a princess in their little daughter. Finding your inner magic, believing in yourself, who you are, and what you are is special. There is nobody else like you. And I think the film represents that. I mean, Mena, he discovered Aladdin inside him, and it was beautiful. The whole journey was an amazing experience.
My next question is for Nasim. So Dahlia is a completely new character that the world has never seen before. Also cool because we get to add another prominent woman of color to our Disney roster. So since you didn't have a character to base this off of, how did you go about bringing her to life?
Well, it was so fun because it was, I think, all the joy of creating something from scratch, but then watching that intersect with this story we all know and love, which I had so much respect for coming into it. I'm a 90s kid, so for me, Aladdin was like golden age Disney. And to echo what Mena said, I'm so proud to be part of the most diversely cast Disney movie of all time, I think. And it really, that film resonated with me as a child because it was the first time I saw a Middle Eastern protagonist, you know, in a major motion picture. So to get to be a part of that and play a little fun role in being Jasmine's friend and handmaiden, and especially under the guidance of Guy, who's so collaborative and fun, and every day you're like, oh my gosh, how like he puts the scene up on its feet and it turns into a whole fun new thing that you wouldn't have necessarily even seen on the page. It was just such a blast. And we got to spend time together. A lot of my scenes were with Naomi. We got to spend time together before we started filming, and there was just such an instant camaraderie and friendship that I think hopefully translates into the dynamic of the characters.
My next question is for Gemma. One, congratulations on Game of Thrones tonight. I know you have a huge...
Woo! Yeah!
Congratulations on that. So I know that Agrabah, being that it is a port city and is influenced by many different cultures that you brought to this film. What was the most fun part of researching?
The most fun part of researching, I think, was just throwing everything up in the air and letting it settle and thinking about the parts of world that we wanted to explore for our kingdom and our land, and letting it all kind of gradually come together. And as the different demands of the film grew, then different parts of that set grew, and creating a world for this fantastic bunch of mad people, I think, was the best of my job.
No, just on the point that Gemma was saying, Gemma and Alan and the rest of the team, what became fun is that everyone came to the Spirit in no small way, because when Will came, he was number one on the call sheet, his positivity sort of flowed all the way down. It started from the top and it went down. And then there was an incredibly positive spirit throughout the whole process. And actually my job was really to encourage them to be more of themselves. So everyone had a degree of improvisation that which was just natural to them. And as I say, my job was just to encourage more of that. But people like Gemma and Alan, what was conspicuous to me is really that they are still like children in the best possible sense, in the fact that they're still incredibly excited about their jobs. So Gemma gets very excited about what it is that she does.
I thought you meant that they take all your money and eat all your food.
You know, for me, it was the most fun creative process I've ever been through.
Yeah, I was saying Disney magic is real. This is my first Disney movie, and there's something that Walt Disney did in the design of these stories that at the core of these stories is something that, you know, shocks the inner child within you and forces it to come alive and smile and appreciate the moment. So, you know, for me, coming into this, you know, first starting with fear, definitely started with fear. You know, what Robin Williams did with this character was you know, he just didn't leave a lot of room to add to the Genie. So I started off fearful, but then when I got with the music, it just started waking up that fun, childlike, silly part of me. And like Guy was saying, this was, you know, the most joyful experience of my career.
Yes, that really came through too. It was just so, I was gonna ask you, because you did so many musical numbers, and rapping and acting and dancing and juggling and all of this. Was there any one particular song that you resonated with the most?
Well, the song that got me over the hump of, yes, I can play Genie, was Friend Like Me. I went into the studio the first day, and I really wanted to play with it to see if I could add something to it. And, you know, literally 30 minutes in the studio and started to play with it, and, you know, finding that, you know, in that, you know, 94, 96 BPM range, we were playing around in there. I think it ultimately was a little bit faster than that, but that 94, 96 BPM range is right old school hip hop, you know. So I grabbed the Honey Drippers' Impeach the President, which is a really classic old school hip hop break beat, and I had them throw that break beat under there. And I messed with that, and I messed with Eric B. and Rakim's I Know You Got Soul under Friend Like Me, and I was like, oh my God, I'm home. And then I started playing with the hip-hop flavor, and then the Genie was really born in my mind from the music, and when I understood once I played with Friend Like Me.
Hi, my question is for Guy, and this is a resolutely Disney film, and yet I was also struck by how much of a Guy Ritchie movie it was, and I'm wondering if you could talk about some of the things you thought you brought to this production that no one else could.
I don't know about the last bit, but you'll be surprised how familiar I am in this territory, considering I've got 5 kids. The oldest one's 18, which pretty much means I've been up to my eyeballs in Disney production for 19 years. And also by sort of family demand, it was about time I made a movie that we could all watch together. So Aladdin ticked the box in the sense that it was a street hustler and I was familiar with that territory. My wife is a big Disney file, and anything to do with Disney princesses is high on her list. So it was really a question of demand by the family. And frankly, I was just ready to do something in this world. And then, of course, it's very hard to be objective about your own work, but inevitably what happens is that you leave an imprint upon it. But some clever director once said that the lion's share of directing is casting, and I think that's true. And I think once we got our little team together, then we were all on the same frequency, and it didn't take us long before we all dialed into that frequency. And then it just all worked from there. And it all came out very organically, actually.
I think the beautiful thing that Guy does on set is that he creates a sense of family and community, and everybody feels free to create and bring their take on it. And then he kind of molds it from there, but he allows us to play, and I think that's something that no one else could have done as well as Guy.
Perfect example might be like One Jump Ahead, right? One Jump Ahead is one of those songs in the animated movie which is almost choreographed. It's like, one jump ahead of the bread line. It's very sweet, very clever, very stagey. And Guy, I know, wanted to get to the truth underneath it, to go, who is Aladdin in this more than just a guy performing, as Guy said, jazz hands.
Yeah.
And so we tore that song apart. We tried it this way, we tried it that way to get the swagger into it. And he challenged me and the whole music team to go to a different place. We went to some pretty extreme places, and then when we came back to, it feels like One Jump Ahead to me, but it feels very real. So whatever happened in that process worked.
I think a lot of it too has to do with the fact that Guy is truly the least rigid filmmaker. And I feel like when I watched the film, so much of the joy that is there came from his spontaneity and his comfort in finding something on the day, which I would imagine is a challenge for a movie on this scale.
So what I love about the movie is that everyone loves the animated films, but it came from an origin from East Asian, South Asian, and Middle Eastern culture. And I really love that you guys were able to put that all together in this film. How important was it to tell this tale, not only from the animated motion picture, but also the origin culturally, to keep it authentic?
I had a feeling that was coming my way.
I have an opinion if you'd like me to go first.
Yeah, you crack on.
Right. I think it is critically important to be able to pull stories and colors and textures and tastes from around the world. I think that in this particular time in the world, that kind of inclusion and diversity, it will be a critical part of turning our connectivity, because we have more connectivity than ever, but transitioning that connectivity into harmony is going to be really critical. And I think these kinds of interactions in these types of movies are a powerful global service. So it was critical and important to me. I spend a lot of time in the Middle East also, so this one particularly was critically important in that way. Guy?
No, I think you've done it very nicely there.
Well, congratulations, all of you. Number one, I'm thrilled to see a very jiggy Genie.
That's actually the first time I've heard. That's good. That's the first time.
Leave it to the gals.
I'm definitely. Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I'm definitely repeating that one.
I've got to ask Gemma, such a beautiful job with the production design, but what you had to do with this film, it takes it to a different level than what most production designers have to do, because we're not just looking at eye level. You have to worry about the overhead level levels and the view from the world above, looking down. What were some of the challenges and your considerations in your production design to give us the bird's eye view and the street view?
Oh, that's quite difficult to answer. I think what happens is you start to create your whole world, and it takes me over as much as anything else. So the world just kind of grows up. I think you have to realize that also I was working very closely with Chaz Jarrett, who is the visual effects person. So we kind of worked together on some of the overhead worlds. We built models, we worked it all out very sort of mathematically as to how you'd see everything. But I think the world, it just kind of grew with the script, with the characters, with a lot of the dance sequences needed to be very seriously choreographed, and I had to work very carefully with them that there'd be 10 yards before they jump something, 20 feet before they'd fall. You know, it was all kind of requirements. It was like, it's very hard to explain. I don't know what can help me here, but it kind of grows. They work together. So I'm visually hanging on to my vision and not wanting to lose any element of that. And meanwhile, they all have to do all these extraordinary feats. So we all work together, really. I think if that answers any of your question there.
Well, what happened also that is spectacular, and as an actor, and it's interesting because you know, we've never done an interview or anything together, so it's interesting for me to be here with you and hear you discuss those things. The ultimate compliment from the actor's point of view is we were transported to the time and place. And that's what happened when we walked on that set. When you walked through, it was woo. It was in the textures of the walls and all of that, and the stairs were real. You could go up and go out onto the rooftop, and all. You know, it was a powerful way to transport the actors into the emotions and the smells of the time and place.
Thank you, Will. I mean, I have to say I enjoyed every single moment of it. I've never had such fun as I had building that world, actually.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
This is for Naomi Scott. You're a singer anyway, and the Disney style is kind of quite specific. I just wondered how much adjustment it was to sing in that context, and what kind of the differences you felt there were to explore.
It's a good question. I think that number one, you're kind of singing in character in a way, but it's interesting because this was a discussion, because obviously the accent is this mid-Atlantic kind of weird thing. So obviously I sing, how I naturally sing is a bit more kind of in my own voice, you know. So definitely I had to put on some type of voice, but I think, yeah, like it was a challenge, especially like the singing live thing as well was I really wanted to do it, but again, it was a challenge. We had like an earpiece, and I was basically singing a cappella in this like quiet room to myself, like a crazy person. Literally, that's what it felt like. But yeah, I think that's how I viewed it. I was like, I'm in character, you know, but I definitely did want it to, I didn't want to put on a musical theater voice as well. Like, you know, I was talking to Alan about like, I didn't want it to feel like a performance-y, or like, I still wanted it to feel like you're kind of going through what she's going through. And again, like I naturally tend to sway more in the kind of R&B world, in terms of just my own music. So I maybe added a little bit of that. I don't really know what happened in that booth, but I think it was a mix of both. It was kind of like singing in character, also bringing a little bit of my own flavor, I guess, similar I guess to what you kind of did. So yeah, that's how I viewed it. I don't know if that answers your question.
And to add to that, sort of every aspect of that song kind of raised a different bar that we had, because once that song was in place, we go, okay, now, how do we set that song up? How do we create the moments when she would actually break into that work with the story, and organically we lead into it. So we divided it into those two parts. So first part is, I don't want to remain speechless. Second part is, I won't remain speechless. And then also, yes, it does have a much more of a pop sort of feel to it. Yeah. So we had, you know, if we saw a screening like we did, like, I don't know, 8 months ago, I was going, it's not yet feeling like in the score. So we did a lot of work, number one, threading themes in, and taking that pop orchestration, but adding the colors of Aladdin in. And, you know, it's nerve-wracking, but at the end of the day, it actually really, I think it really works. I'm so relieved.
Can you just talk about a little bit about the enhancement of this female empowerment for Princess Jasmine in this film?
Who wants to go first? Me? You?
You go.
Okay. Well, first of all, I think it's a wonderful thing when you have a vision for a character, or you think, oh, I'd love to see, you know, Disney do this with this character, and it aligns with the people involved. It aligns with what, you know, with Guy and our producers. For me, I really think it was a natural progression. I mean, Guy said something in Oman, which I thought was really great. He was talking about equality of challenge as well. So the idea, I'm stealing your thing now, the idea that, you know, Jasmine needed even more of a challenge in this movie as well. And as I said, it's a natural progression. The fact that she wants to become the leader, I kind of just want people to walk out and go, oh yeah, that makes sense, right? She should be the leader. And as opposed to it, you know, it's not this thing that's been shoehorned in. It just makes sense, you know, and she's a human. For me as an actor, my main thing is, okay, how do I humanize her? How do I give her depth? And so those things just came naturally.
I just wanted to talk, because the songs and the music was so great, but also the dance in this was unbelievable. A very Bollywood vibe. I just loved it. So Mena, I wanted to ask you about, you know, sort of all the moves you made in this, you know, working with the Will guy over there.
Yeah, Jamal Sims, our choreographer, and Nikki Anderson were spectacular. Jamal's one of the best in the business, and I grew up watching Step Up, which to me was like the dance film of my generation. And Jamal choreographed that film.
The 12-year-old Step Up is that was the one.
That was the one. So it was amazing getting to work with him. Me and Naomi, fun enough, we wanted to focus more on the connection in that piece, because getting the choreography down is one thing, but we wanted to focus on connecting. And then the other part of it, me and Guy had a fun time during that, because I had to learn that choreography at the beginning, but then pretend like the genie was manipulating me. So we tried doing it with mime, and then Guy actually had this brilliant idea to actually attach these long puppeteering arms onto me and physically manipulate me. So we had a lot of fun with that piece. It was definitely a fun part of the whole process.
If anyone represented this, the spirit of this film, it was Jamal, because Jamal came 100% into this project, and every time you'd see him, he was just so excited about what he was about to do, and the English weather didn't drag him down. And he just remained so positive throughout. And when anyone asks me what my favourite scene is, I do say that my memory is that of a goldfish. So I always said the last scene, because it's the last thing I can remember. And Jamal came up with this dance sequence at the end, which, you know, I sniggered when I thought, you know, there's no one's going to come. And he didn't have long to do it, by the way. And that dance sequence.
And I got to say something about Nikki Anderson, who's his assistant choreographer. He found him on YouTube. He's like 19 years old, and he is the most incredible dancer I've ever seen. So shout out to both of those guys.
Yeah, Nikki was in charge with,
Yeah, I worked closely with Nikki, and Jamal oversaw everything, but both incredibly talented people.
And all the dancers as well. They're just amazing. Oh, they're amazing.
Yeah, the dance, what was happening with choreography, and I don't know if you knew it was going to be that, but choreography was sort of the vortex.
Of course I did.
Yeah, it was sort of the vortex of everything, right? So, if you're doing a dance sequence, so the choreography was the vortex of wardrobe, of set design, so all of the actors, we had decided how our performance was and things our characters would and wouldn't do, and then it had to get worked into the dancing of it, and just everything sort of fell on Jamal to make it all come together in a dance sequence. And he just captured all of that stuff, even the things like in the big sequence where I switch into the woman and then go behind and timing those things out. And it was just, I wish he was here to get all of these props, but he really captured the center of all of those things and, you know, made it turn into something that looks hot in a dance move. Yes.
I did want to know really quickly, speaking of dancing, on or off camera, who had the best moves?
Ooh.
Well, that would be me.
That would be.
Well, I guess
Guy,
that
duh.
Guy, yeah, obviously. You know, I mean, yeah, I think it wasn't you, Guy, now that I think about it. I think Naomi has the most skills.
Yeah,
has the
Naomi
most
learns choreography
really
faster than anyone. So I went to theater school, and there was a whole dance department. She learns it as fast as those dancers. She's like watching it. She's like, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I've never been able to do that.
In
like
an American
watching,
accent.
And she's one of those that stands and looks, and you've seen dancers do it. I know we've all seen it, and you like, there's no way they're learning it. And she's going, pa, ta, ta, 6, 7, 8, pop.
I'm just a wannabe dancer.
And like doing all of that stuff, and then does it back. I'm like, what the hell?
I have to spend like 3 weeks learning a
Yeah,
step.
it's like me too. Yeah, I gotta learn.
I know, but there's a lot of enthusiasm over there.
Yeah.
That's really what she wants to be.
Yeah, I'm just a wannabe. I would like hang out with it. Like, I try and hang out with the dancers. I was just
It
like,
works.
hey guys.
Well, thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for
Thank
joining
you.
us. Please
Thank you,
give
guys.
another round of applause for the cast
Thank
and
you very
filmmakers
much.
of
Thank you.
Aladdin.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.